Hi, I'm Wendy Monday. I'm a realtor in Nashville, Tennessee, and I make videos about buying and selling real estate. Today, my husband and I are in our commercial investment property, and we're going to talk about the process that took us into buying a commercial investment property. This is my husband, JT Spangler.
Yes,
Yes,
that is
you
my
are.
name.
And we're going to just jump right in. So this is a former auto repair shop garage. It's located on Gallatin Pike, which is a major transportation corridor in East Nashville. It's about 2,000 square feet on the top, and then there's a lower level, it's about 2,000 square feet, and it has several garage doors. It has these super high ceilings, so there's like a variety of businesses that could be in this. And we're sitting in it today, white boxed, meaning like we got it to a point where it's just kind of a nice raw space, clean, painted, new AC, the whole 9 yards. But a variety of businesses could be here, and when we turn it over, someone will finish it out the way they want it. So let's jump into some questions. The first question that a lot of people ask is, why buy a commercial real estate investment instead of a residential one, since you're a residential agent? And a couple of reasons. One, this fit a specific need for us. What would you say? What was the thing that made us jump into the commercial portion of it?
Yeah, I don't think it's commercial versus residential as much as the last couple of years we've just decided that there weren't a lot of great cash flow investments, at least for our specifications. So we said, let's just buy stuff that, number one, we like, number two, solves a problem for us, and number three, we think we'll be happy we own 5 years from now.
That's true. Now, solving a problem, and the last two properties that we have purchased have both been commercial investment properties. One, the first one, was my office space, my real estate office space in Germantown, which is the neighborhood that we live in. And that was so I had a place to go and work. And this one actually is two parcels. So there's the parcel that we'll rent, and it actually came with a shop behind it, which is, how big is that one?
I think it's 1,400 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where JT will office out of and do his workshop and that sort of thing. So we like to buy things that have like a dual benefit. It's an investment, but also it fits a specific need for us. Work from home has been a big thing, obviously, post-pandemic, and we just don't have that big a house. And there's a real value proposition to not just having the entirety of what you need in one house, but saying, well, if I need a space for myself to work, then we'll buy another property, rent part of it, use part of it.
Especially given that we don't think there are a lot of strong cash flow options in our price point. If it solves a problem for us, we can go, it just needs to break even. It needs to be something that we're happy that we own and in a location that we feel good about, and it solves a problem for us. And we know that eventually we'll get the appreciation to catch up with what we paid. And also, we always leave ourselves a little bit of a hedge in that we typically always do work to the properties, which is, instant day one equity. We come in and do things that other people maybe they would have, but we always do. Like Wendy's office, we bought it, and we renovated it. When we were done with the renovation, we'd owned it, 90 days, but it was already worth significantly more than what we paid for it. Same with this. We've been in here since March, and it's end of May, and we've spent quite a bit of money, but I bet we've got more than that in equity already.
I would say so, for sure. It's a good point to make that not every investment property you walk in and go, wow, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's turnkey. Let's do this right now. Like, there's always going to be something about them when we look at them and buy them. There's going to be something that we can improve upon. And that was true here. So that jumps into our next question, which is, what improvements did you make? Which ones did you do yourselves? Which ones did you contract out? For the space as it is right now, we painted it, we added an HVAC, but the things that you did were like demo, things like that. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we did. For the main rental space, we did. I did the demo because I knew it was going to take me a week and it was going to cost us like almost $5,000. So I filled up 2 dumpsters myself. Then we had spray foam, we contracted that out. We had paint, we contracted that out. We had HVAC, we contracted that out. New flooring in the little office space here, we contracted that out. And then they kind of updated the half bathroom a little bit. But we were able to get a contractor and his team. They came in and out and they were done in less than 2 weeks. So,
they were fast.
It's stuff that I could have done, but it would have taken a lot longer. So we felt that the speed was kind of worth the trade-off. And we got 4 different prices, and we got a great price from someone that we really liked, and so that made it easy to pull the trigger.
Yeah. And that is one of the things about being in the business and having some contacts. Like, we had people that we could reach out to immediately. Like, I have some contacts, JT has some contacts. We said, we've got this space, we need these things to be done. And 4 different people gave us bids like right away. So we moved through that process pretty quickly. To kind of back up a little bit, I'd like to talk about how we found the property and then what the process was to acquire the property. So
yeah, well, let's go real quick about the contractors, because I think it's was kind of interesting because it's a little bit of a weird spot. It's a commercial property, but it's a small commercial property, so the commercial contractors didn't really want to mess with it because it was too small.
Yeah.
And the residential contractors, a lot of them said, I don't know that I can really handle that. So we fell into a little bit of a weird spot. And if it was not for, our network, I think we might have had some trouble finding someone reliable to come and do the work. While that seems like it's a pain in the butt, it turns into another competitive advantage for us because we have a network we can leverage where maybe other purchasers would not have been able to easily get this work done. We were.
yeah, and quickly, really quickly for the way things move in today's in today's age. Jumping into how we found the property in the beginning, we looked for about 18 months. We spent a lot of time, we looked really on MLS. We would look at LoopNet, things like that. But I was doing the agent side of it, and JT was looking on his own. And we would go look at properties, and we just really didn't turn anything up for a significant period of time.
Well, it turns out that there's no MLS for commercial properties. Right. I mean, you can list a commercial property on MLS, but a lot of people don't.
Right.
And you can list it on LoopNet, but a lot of people don't. We're lucky to have a commercial broker in town that I go way back with that we really liked. And they told us that almost, I don't know what the numbers are, but probably 2/3 to 3/4 of commercial properties transact and they're really never listed anywhere.
Yeah.
So you really have to know people to find them.
Yeah. This one we lucked into. It was November, because I know it was before Thanksgiving. I got an e-blast. They were selling this building, and the commercial agent who had it listed sent an e-blast, and he included all residential agents in town. So I was on that email list, and I got an e-blast about it, and we came and looked at it the next day. That, as an aside, I'm a big believer in e-blasts. I know e-blasts, and I know email in general is like the existential crisis of our time, and everybody hates email. But it's worked for me, and it worked in that instance for that broker. We came, we looked at it. We hired the commercial agent, who we are closely tied in with, to represent us in the deal, because it's my firm belief that a good agent makes you money. And somebody with experience and knowledge is not only going to keep you from making a bunch of mistakes, but they are probably going to do things that make you money on the back end. And I'm not a commercial agent. I did our small deal. I did the deal when we bought the small office condo where my office is, but this is a much larger, much more complex transaction, and it took a lot longer. Some of the differences in commercial versus residential is that you absolutely need to build in the fact that there's going to be, especially if it's a project of this size, some due diligence that took way more time than we actually thought it was going to.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 phases of environmental surveys that neither of us knew what they entailed or what they were going to cost. We still are not sure why we had to do them both, but we did.
Yeah.
The regular survey, but it's an ALTA survey for commercial properties, so not every surveyor can do them. They're more expensive.
Yeah, take longer.
2 parcels that it turns out were not both deeded to the right person, so some title stuff. There's a lot of issues there, and we talked about it early on, and you said I want to hire a commercial agent, and even though you could have represented us, said okay, yeah, if you think that money, giving up that commission is worth that, then let's do it. And it was pretty quickly we realized it was definitely worth that.
It absolutely
we got that value and then some.
Absolutely. Another thing about commercial versus residential is, in Tennessee at least, the Tennessee Association of Realtors, creates this boilerplate contract, and you just fill in the offer documents, and everybody signs it, and everybody signs the same thing. Whereas with a commercial property, lawyers get involved, and they draw up like a completely custom contract.
Almost every sale contract is a one-off.
Yeah.
Drafted by teams of lawyers on both sides.
Another expense that you're going to pay for, another line item on that closing statement. That is different from a residential property. But you go back and forth a lot, you do those things, you go through a longer due diligence period, and then we get to closing, we take it over. And the tenant that we're going to get in here will be a triple net tenant, meaning they'll pay their portion of the taxes, they'll pay their maintenance, they'll pay their utilities. It's much, much different than a residential unit. And we will not have like the time commitment or just the emotional weight of having a tenant in a house and have that turnover. It'll be a much longer term. So when we sign a lease here, it will be 3 to 5 years, maybe more. They will pay for all of their things. They will take care of all of the maintenance of the property. We'll completely step back from it. This is their business. And there's a real value to that as well.
Yeah, well, on the rental side, we've been trying to make a push to get out of the residential rental business, because I think you either need to scale to the point where you can have full-time property management, or you need to exit, because you can just only handle so many phone calls from tenants before it starts to take up a second full-time job.
Yeah, and we're in that kind of nether region now where like we just had too much of that. We had too many properties.
We had too many tenants.
Yeah.
And so we started scaling, we started selling those off, and we've rolled into some different stuff. But yeah, commercial is, if the toilet leaks, they call a plumber. If the roof leaks, they call a roofer. If they want to build out a commercial kitchen, they write the checks. We just go, that sounds great, do whatever, just we get the building back in 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a much more hands-off situation than triple net lease.
It's been a good situation. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Like diving into this all the way. I want to be clear about one thing. When we went to look for commercial properties, exactly like we were doing if we went to buy a residential property, the first thing that you have to do is get your financing in order, because you can't go look at something if you don't know how you're going to pay for it, if you don't know what you can afford. So we talked to a couple of commercial lenders. We actually ended up with our local bank that we bank with here, and it turned out to be a really good situation. But it's a different loan. Again, differences between residential and commercial. It's a different type of loan. It's a different type of vetting process. Like, they took our financials to their little board and met about it personally. It's not like going to a regular mortgage broker and they just send it to underwriting and send it back. It was a much more personalized experience for us. And that's what we did first, so that we knew when we found this property, if we liked it, we could go ahead and move on it.
Well, and the lenders that we ended up going with were our personal bank that we have a relationship with. And once again, they by far gave us the best deal. And it's frustrating to me, because I like to think that the world is a meritocracy and you don't need to know people. But it's, once again, it's like that relationship was clutch, and it's great that we had it, you know? So it's like the commercial agent, the listing agent, the banker, like all of it came back to the contractors. Man, it's lucky that we had those connections and were able to leverage them to make this happen.
Yeah, so just like in residential real estate, in the commercial real estate world, like someone with depth of knowledge and industry connections and strong professional relationships, that just helps. And so even when you're going to buy just a one-off house or your personal house, you need to have an agent who has that kind of professional clout, and so that they have the connections to make that process smoother. Because in our case, we had them, but I don't know if the deal would have come together if we hadn't had all of that to line up.
No, it would have been difficult.
Yeah. It would have been more expensive.
Yeah, it would have been a lot more expensive.
Yeah, for sure. But we're really happy with it. We're proud of it. I'm glad we got to share it with you today. And if you have any questions about Nashville real estate, residential real estate, I'm definitely your person. Commercial real estate, I can set you up with somebody and connect you with the right people. My contact info, as always, is down in the comments. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear from you.